Welcome to the Explainer. So, on Christmas Day, the US launched a series of what it called perfect strikes in Nigeria. But was the official story the real story? We're going to peel back the layers on this whole operation to figure out what was actually going on.
All right, here's our game plan. We'll start with the operation itself, but then we're going to start asking some tough questions. Was this really about protecting Christians? We'll dig into the deeper agenda that's driving the violence, map out the key players, and then analyze the ripple effects of a strike like this. And that'll lead us to our last question: what was the real motive here?
Okay, so let's set the scene. The story kicks off on Christmas Day. The US military conducted a series of airstrikes deep in northwestern Nigeria, and they were specifically targeting camps in Sokoto State. Now, this wasn't some secret operation. It was confirmed publicly and very, very quickly by then President Trump. And he described it in these exact words: numerous perfect strikes, while also warning that more were on the way. So why? Why were these strikes carried out? Well, the official reason from the US was super direct, and you could say it was aimed at a very specific audience. The Trump administration said point blank that the goal was to stop the killing of Christians. And that's a narrative that was being pushed really hard by right-wing Christian advocacy groups in the US. But the Nigerian government immediately hit back. Their foreign minister basically said, hold on, this violence is affecting everyone. For them, he said, it's not about religion, it is about getting the results. And this, right here, is where it gets really crucial. If this isn't just a straightforward case of Christian persecution, then what is actually driving all of this widespread violence? Well, experts who spend their lives studying this region will tell you that the fundamental goal of these militant groups is theological. You see, they view the modern Nigerian state itself as the enemy. It's like an icon of a world they want to tear down completely and replace with their own vision. And that's exactly why their violence seems so indiscriminate. Yeah, they target Christians, who they call crusaders, but they also kill any Muslim who doesn't buy into their radical brand of ideology. And on top of that, they'll attack anyone or anything that symbolizes the modern state. We're talking everything from government buildings to hospitals. It's basically an all-out war on the very idea of modern Nigeria. Okay, so who exactly are these groups carrying out all these attacks? Well, the landscape is incredibly complicated, and it's, constantly shifting. Now, the geography here is really, really interesting. The groups that you've probably heard of, the most infamous ones like Boko Haram and its splinter group ISWAP, they operate mostly in the northeast. But that's not where the US strikes happened. No, these strikes took place in the northwest, and they were targeting a totally different group, believed to be the Lekarawa. And this just perfectly illustrates the core challenge here, doesn't it? While the names keep changing and their locations shift all across the Sahel, experts will stress that the one unifying thing, the glue that holds it all together, is that shared theological goal we just mentioned, the violent overthrow of the state to build an Islamist theocracy. All of this, of course, raises a massive question about the whole counterterrorism strategy itself. I mean, does this belief that you can, as one counterterrorism expert put it, bomb out terrorist organizations from far and near, does that actually work? Or does it just end up creating a whole new set of problems? Well, if you look at the data from past interventions, this kind of overwhelming force, it often backfires. It doesn't actually eliminate the militants, it just pushes them into new areas. Their operations don't stop because these fighters are deeply, deeply radicalized. And maybe most important of all, you run the risk of absolutely devastating civilian casualties, which can end up radicalizing the very same communities you claim you're trying to help. So, if airstrikes are such a risky tactic, with all these serious potential downsides, you have to ask, what was the real purpose of this whole Christmas Day operation? The timing of the announcement is really telling here. The United States was the first to report the airstrike. They got the news out even before Nigeria's own foreign ministry did. Think about that. It gave the US complete initial control over the entire narrative, over the reasons for the attack. And here's the real kicker. To this day, neither the US nor the Nigerian authorities have provided any public information confirming that a single high-value target was actually eliminated. Zero. This total lack of confirmed results has led a lot of experts to believe that the strikes were, well, primarily symbolic. Analysts pretty much suggest that both governments were kind of boxed in here. The US administration was feeling the heat from powerful advocacy groups back home, and at the same time, the Nigerian government was under pressure from the United States itself, not to mention from a public that was desperate for any kind of action against these groups. And that kind of leaves us with this one final thought.
Was the main goal of these so-called perfect strikes to solve a deeply complex socio-theological conflict in Nigeria? Or was it really about sending a simple, powerful message to a specific domestic audience thousands of miles away?